is Melanie from Melanie B's Creative Studio. And today I'm bringing you another canvas by numbers painting. What has happened is they are switching up the company that they have as a source. So this was an older painting and you guys have seen it before. I'm not quite done. His little face has still got to be finished. And so I've been working on him for a little while, but they wanted me to compare this painting and its quality to the new paintings they have and its quality. So that's what we're going to do today, because I just received this painting yesterday and I immediately could tell right off the bat, the thickness of this canvas is like way better quality. Now it doesn't matter to me, the texture of the canvas usually. It doesn't make or break the painting itself. So I don't really get too worried about the thickness of the canvas. Some of them are really thin and they still accept paint very easily. Now let's talk about how this particular one came. It does not have a reference guide. Now, I'm gonna alert them to that information and tell them that we have to have reference guides, because I realize we have cell phones and we can take pictures of paintings, but it's kind of an inconvenience. So I am gonna make sure that they know that this company did not send a reference guide. The other thing I've noticed that's completely different is this is very nicely done. We've got our photo. This particular painting is a Van Gogh. So that is kind of where they're going with their new designs, is they are only using designs that they have permission to use. So because the famous painters, Picasso and Van Gogh, and those people are no longer around, there is no copyright on those paintings. So Canvas by Numbers has been very concerned about copyright violations. So they're trying very hard to get away from any paintings that might lead them to, violating someone's copyright. Some, other artists that are current and whatnot. So most of their paintings you'll see are going to be like the old classics. So this has also got our color scheme on it. And it also looks like this is kind of becoming, I'm seeing a new trend where their paintings come from companies that have color numbers, and then they also have the number of the painting that's going to refer you on your guide, on your canvas. So what do I mean by that? These are all individual paints, and this is when the foam tray that we've talked about is going to come in handy. I'm actually expecting a shipment of foam trays soon, and I'll do a video when those arrive so you'll know what I'm talking about. And they do not have a number on them, like a number 1, 2, 3. So they're labeled with the number of the color. I will have to mark the top of these before I start this piece, but I am going to swatch a few colors because I want to compare the paint on this one to the paint on the little owl, because we're comparing these two qualities. The texture of this canvas is very high end. I can tell it has been white gessoed, it's been primed prior to the numbers and the lines being printed on it. And so it's got that great, it's not super slick, but I will probably go ahead and gesso 2 layers of gesso, because I want to make sure that it doesn't have those deep pores in it. All right, so let me find a Sharpie and I will number these, and then we will swatch about 3 of them, and I want to see how that compares. Okay, so you can see there are 17 colors, and these are super delicious, like coastal, just cool colors, and I love this palette. You guys knew I would, and I love every palette, it seems like. So let's test some paints. I've got them numbered. I will use a foam tray to organize these once I start working on this piece, and that way I can keep everything together and I don't have to worry about loose paints and digging around for paints. But let's go ahead and pick a color or 2 and test it. The lines are red, the numbers are black, but they're not bold black. So they're very easy to read, but they are not gonna be so dark that you probably can't cover with the first coat. So that's what we're gonna test. No flow aid, no gesso on the canvas. And let's test out these paints, see what we think. Got my cosmetic wipe here to restore my brushes. This one's pretty streaky, and it might be because of the texture of the canvas, or it might be this color. So until I get this gessoed and I've got flow aid added to my paint, I won't be able to really tell, because I would have thought this color would be very opaque. But I am seeing a little canvas through it as far as the white, but it's slick with my brush. So my brush is kind of slipping around, and that usually means that the canvas just needs to be gessoed. So you can see I went over into 13. You guys don't freak out if something like that happens, because all you have to do is when this dries and you get to number 13, you can cover it right up. In fact, I'll probably do that right now just so I can show you what I mean. Even people who are advanced at paint by number will have a mistake like that every once in a while, so I don't beat myself up over it too much. And I'm using the number 1 brush from the 5-piece detail brush set. My blog has a posting with every single product that I'm obsessed with, so you can go there and get a link. I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. We're gonna do a different color, and then we're gonna go over 13, and I'm gonna show you how you can cover up those mistakes. I'm gonna do this number 4 because it's such a beautiful periwinkle color. Now the paints, you can see they're thick, but they're not, and they're creamy. They're not thinned out. They're not so thick you can't use them. This is how most paint by numbers come with, you know, because they've been in shipping and whatever, that a lot of times they'll be thicker when you receive them. Just because of the fact that sitting in heat or cold in the shipping stations, that'll make them set up a little bit more. Usually Canvas by Numbers has really creamy paints. So that was very strokey. I like the consistency of the paint, but because this canvas is making my brush kind of slip around, it's going to require more coverage than a take with gesso. Now, if you guys aren't sure about clear gesso, I have 2 videos on gesso and why you need it and what it does and what the difference is with and without it. So be sure to look for that, because it will explain why gesso is so important to put down before you start painting. All right, now I'm assuming this is dry. It may not be dry, but let's try it. Acrylic paints dry fairly quickly, so that's a good thing. I don't want to get my hand in that one, so I'm going to keep my brush out a little further, kind of stretch with it. I'm going to go up here and cover up that teal. Now, normally green is a very transparent color, this color especially, this lime green, but you notice how it just covered up that darker color without really a whole lot of issue. I'm tempted to go ahead and gesso this piece so that I can test the paints again and see if they cover better with it gessoed. I'm not seeing any numbers, so that's awesome. Only thing I'm seeing are some stroke marks because of the canvas being a canvas. It's not been primed. With gesso, with clear gesso, it's got that slickered texture to it. In my opinion, this is a very high quality canvas, very nice paints. I'm a little disappointed that there's not a reference guide, but I'm hoping that was just a one-off, that maybe they just forgot to put it in here. And but as far as it's comparing to the owl, I've had a really good luck with this owl too. So I just have an overall good experience with Canvas by Numbers, and I have since I started using them about a year ago. So I hope this was helpful. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you as always for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, and I will see you at the group.